Whoops. 5, 4. Hello and welcome to another episode of Geek Speak 2.0. I'm your host, Chris, or if you want to find me on other platforms, I am Darth Pimp. That's mostly on Steam, but also you can probably find me under that on Battle.net. Jump into the news. Unsurprisingly to many of us, Batman vs Superman is looking like it will have a lower than originally expected second weekend. Now, this is not really surprising to me, considering the massive critical, lashing it's received. Not a lot of support there from, a bit from fans, not as much as you'd expect, and a lot of negative press from critics. It's predicted to have a global taking this weekend of about 50 million. At the time of recording, this is Sunday afternoon, so we haven't got a full takings for this weekend, but it's expected to be about 50 million, which is 8 million less than they expected at first, and is a 70% drop from its opening weekend takings, which, a drop of that amount, not too surprising. The fact that it is less than originally anticipated from last weekend's takings is quite surprising, and it's looking like it's really being panned by a lot of people. Now, some other news, we've had a bunch of photos which I will put on our Facebook page, which will be in the description below, that have been released by USA Today of a number of upcoming blockbuster films. These films include the new Ghostbusters, Warcraft, The Legend of Tarzan, the new Independence Day Resurgence, the new live-action BFG adaptation, the new Star Trek Beyond, and the Alice Through the Looking Glass, the sequel to the previous Alice in Wonderland live-action. Now, like I said, I'll throw them up on our Facebook page, which I'll link in the description below, and I will have a fiddle with my editing software to see if I can't put them up somewhere around me as I've named them. In a bit more comic book news, it has recently been theorised, thanks to Jeff Johns once again taking the helm for the upcoming Justice League number 50 issue, that they will finally be revealing the true name of the Joker. As some of you may remember, the Joker's initial name, or the knowledge of Joker's true name, was revealed to Bruce Wayne in issue 42, when he gained control of the Mobius chair, and he was quite surprised by the answer. We've also recently had hints, thanks to the Batman Endgame story, that the Joker may be an immortal, similar in the vein to Vandal Savage or Ra's al Ghul, thanks to an element known as, Dionysium, which is the same element that gave Vandal Savage his immortality, and the Lazarus Pit, which gives Ra's al Ghul his immortality, is a corrupted version of it. Now, something I want to talk a bit longer about is that both Chris Hemsworth and Cate Blanchett, who are Australian actors, with Chris most notably known as Thor, have spoken about their enthusiasm for the filming of the upcoming Thor Ragnarok, which will be right here in Australia. Now, various media outlets on one of Chris Hemsworth's previous visits to Australia questioned him about when he would next be filming something down here. And since then, Marvel has also questioned where they were going to shoot Ragnarok, and Chris suggested Australia. And then in subsequent later conversations about the filming location, he's again pushed the idea of Australia, so that now we will actually have them filming it right here in Queensland, starting in roughly in June. We believe they'll be starting principal photography, which is basically like just doing the early grabs to get locations and the less intensive on-screen stuff that they can then later use for adding blue screen effects or backgrounds when they have to do the occasional blue screen capture. Cate Blanchett has also spoken very highly of her role in the movie, saying that it was quite surprising that she got the role. It kind of came out of nowhere, but that she's looking forward to it because she promised herself that she would get fit this year, and the training for her role in the film will definitely help, and she is also hoping that it will give her a bit of a little bit of street cred with her kids, who I'm guessing are probably big fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will be quite excited to be able to point at her character and go, "That's our mum." Now, the last bit of news I want to talk about is that James Wan, who I'm assuming is the writer or director for the upcoming Aquaman movie, I'm not too certain on that at this point, has spoken about the possible antagonist for the upcoming Jason Momoa-led movie. Now, he has stated that because of the largely unexplored nature of the ocean, both in the real world and in the DC universe, it leaves it wide open for any number of sea creatures or sea monsters to play the role of the antagonist. A few possible, well-known possible opponents that this might be would include well-known big bads such as Creature King, Deep Six, or King Shark, or possibly the recently created Jeff Johns villainous race, I suppose, known as the Trench. Now, I will go ahead and say that probably for a lot of us, we've more seen Aquaman as kind of the joke, the golden pants and everything. He's always been kind of a funny guy, and in a lot of the cartoon and screen adaptations, he is seen as more of the comedic response than as a serious character. But that kind of leaves a lot open for his world, and because they've said that they'll be focusing, because of the specifics stating that it has a lot of sea creatures and sea monsters, tends to give the idea that they'll be leaving out the two most well-known Aquaman villains, who are Ocean Master and Black Manta, simply because they are not so much sea creatures as basically villainous Atlanteans. And as always, I'll finish out the episode with a recommendation for everyone, doing something a bit different in that I'm not recommending a movie or a TV show as I usually would. I am instead going to recommend a game, which you should all be able to go out and pick up for your whichever console you own or your PC, which is Fallout 4. Now, admittedly, this game has been out for a while. It recently got an update with its first DLC expansion, Automatron, which admittedly only adds a few hours of story gameplay, but does add the ability to build a robot workbench in any of your settlements, and allows you to then craft basically any number of, robots. Anything from the innocuous iBot that we first saw, well, that I first saw in Fallout 3, mostly wandering the wasteland, touting the benefits of the Enclave and the President, to the assault sentry bot, which many Fallout players will remember as that damn tank-looking thing that probably killed you a whole heap of times. And on that rather down note, that's all we have for this week. So once again, I will leave our Facebook in the description below, as well as our Twitter. So if you want to contact us, you can either contact us there or via the comments down below. And if you have any particular genre that you would like us to make a recommendation in, whether it be games, movies, TV shows, or books, let us know and we'll do our best to give you something new that you can have a look at. So until next week, goodbye.